Welcome to the InnoGuide Podcast, where we share the works of authors and mentors to guide innovation. In this episode, number 44, we'll be sharing The End of Alzheimer's by Dr. Dale Bredesen. Chapter 8, Recode, Reversing Cognitive Decline. Let's talk about something revolutionary, reversing cognitive decline. Yes, you read that right. Alzheimer's and other forms of cognitive decline are no longer an inevitable, irreversible fate. With the Recode protocol, we can identify the root causes of cognitive decline and address them systematically. This chapter is all about how to do that, and I'll walk you through it step by step. Edward's story, a case of reversal. Let me start with Edward, a brilliant professional who could add columns of numbers in his head faster than his accountants could with calculators. But as he approached 60, his memory began to falter. He forgot the combination to his gem locker, struggled to remember people, eventually received a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. By 67, his decline had accelerated and his neuropsychologist suggested he prepare for full-time care. Then Edward started the Recode protocol. Within 6 months, his decline stopped. A few months later, he began to improve. 2 years in, his neuropsychological tests showed dramatic improvements. His verbal memory jumped from the 3rd percentile to the 84th, and his auditory delayed memory soared from the 13th to the 79th percentile. Today, Edward is asymptomatic, running his businesses and planning for the future. His story is proof that cognitive decline can be reversed. The core principles of Recode. The Recode protocol is built on a few key principles. There are 9 in this list. 1. Optimize. Don't settle for normal. For every abnormal lab value, the goal isn't just to get back to normal, but to reach optimal levels. For example, a homocysteine level of 12 might be normal, but for brain health, it needs to be below 6. 2. Address all factors. Cognitive decline isn't caused by one thing. It's the result of multiple factors. The more of these holes in the roof you patch, the better your chances of reversing decline. 3. Target root causes. Instead of just treating symptoms, Recode focuses on identifying and addressing the underlying causes, whether it's inflammation, toxins, or hormonal imbalances. 4. Personalization. No two people are the same, so no two treatment plans should be either. Recode is tailored to each individual's unique lab results and needs. 5. Threshold effect. Once enough factors are optimized, the brain can shift from synapse destruction to synapse preservation and even regeneration. 6. Iterative process. Recode isn't a one-and-done solution. It's a dynamic program that evolves based on your progress and needs. 7. Drugs are secondary. Medications can be helpful, but they're not the foundation of the protocol. Lifestyle changes, diet, and addressing root causes come first. 8. Early intervention is key. The earlier you start, the better your chances of complete reversal. Even in the pre-symptomatic phase, Recode can make a huge difference. 9. Workarounds are available. If a certain step feels overwhelming, there are always alternatives. The goal is to make the protocol work for you. Key areas to address. 1. Homocysteine. High homocysteine levels are a major risk factor for cognitive decline. If your level's above 6, you can lower it with activated forms of B vitamins, B6, B12, and folate. If needed, you can also add glycine betaine or reduce methionine-rich foods like meat and dairy. 2. Insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is one of the biggest contributors to Alzheimer's. The solution? A combination of diet, exercise, sleep, and stress reduction, DESS. Diet, exercise, sleep, and stress reduction. The cornerstone of the dietary approach is the KetoFlex 12-3 diet, which promotes mild ketosis, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports brain health. Ketosis, achieved through a low-carb diet, fasting 12 to 16 hours overnight and consuming healthy fats like MCT oil and olive oil. Flexitarian diet, focus on vegetables, healthy fats, and small amounts of high-quality protein. Avoid gluten, dairy, and processed foods. Fasting, fast for at least 12 hours overnight and finish dinner at least 3 hours before bed to promote autophagy and reduce insulin spikes. 3. Exercise. Exercise is a game changer for brain health. It reduces insulin resistance, increases hippocampal size, improves vascular function, and boosts mood. Aim for 45 to 60 minutes of aerobic and strength training exercises 4 to 5 days a week. 4. Sleep. Sleep is critical for brain repair and detoxification. If you have sleep apnea, treat it. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night, and consider melatonin or other natural aids if needed. Good sleep hygiene, like avoiding blue light and heavy meals before bed, can make a big difference. 5. Stress reduction. Chronic stress damages the hippocampus and accelerates cognitive decline. Techniques like meditation, yoga, deep breathing, and even laughter can lower cortisol levels and protect your brain. 6. Brain training. Cognitive exercises can improve memory, processing speed, and overall brain function. Programs like Brain HQ have been shown to reduce dementia risk by nearly 50%. 7. Inflammation. Inflammation is a major driver of Alzheimer's. To combat it, use anti-inflammatory supplements like omega-3s, curcumin, and SPMs. Remove sources of inflammation such as poor diet, infections, or leaky gut. And optimize oral hygiene to prevent bacteria like P. gingivalis from contributing to brain inflammation. 8. Gut health. A leaky gut can trigger systemic inflammation and cognitive decline. Heal your gut by avoiding triggers like gluten and processed foods, using bone broth or supplements, L-glutamine, or introducing probiotics and prebiotics once the gut is healed. 9. Hormonal balance. Hormones like thyroid, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol play crucial roles in brain health. Work with a knowledgeable physician to optimize your levels, especially if you're experiencing cognitive decline. 10. Toxins. Toxins like mercury, mold, and pesticides can contribute to cognitive decline. Detoxification strategies include removing sources of exposure, that is, mold remediation, avoiding high mercury fish, supporting detox pathways with glutathione, sonotherapy, and detoxifying foods like cruciferous vegetables, and using binders like cholestyramine to remove toxins from the body. The power of RECODE. RECODE protocol is a comprehensive, personalized approach to reversing cognitive decline. It's not about quick fixes or one-size-fits-all solutions. It's about addressing the root causes of Alzheimer's and other forms of cognitive decline. Whether it's through diet, exercise, sleep, or targeted supplements, every step of the protocol is designed to tip the balance back toward synapse preservation and regeneration. Edward's story is just one example of what's possible with the right tools, support, and commitment. Cognitive decline doesn't have to be a death sentence. It's time to take control of your brain health and reclaim your future. Chapter 9. Success and the Social Network. Two People's Daily Routines. Let's dive into a chapter that's both inspiring and practical, showcasing how two individuals, Julie and Kelly, have used the RECODE protocol to transform their lives. This chapter is about success stories, daily routines, and the power of social networks in tackling cognitive decline. It's a testament to how personalized approaches and collective support can make a world of difference. Julie's story, from hopelessness to cognitive excellence. Julie's story is nothing short of remarkable. At just 49, she began experiencing significant cognitive issues, getting lost in familiar places, failing to recognize faces, and struggling with memory. A genetic test revealed that she was homozygous for ApoE4, meaning she carried 2 copies of the gene most strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease, giving her a 10-fold increased risk. To make matters worse, a cousin had already developed severe Alzheimer's at an even younger age. When Julie sought help from a neurologist, she was met with a dismissive, "Good luck with that." But Julie didn't give up. She turned to the RECODE protocol, and the results were astounding. Initially scoring in the 35th percentile for cognitive function, she climbed to the 98th percentile within months and has maintained that level for over 5 years. Her story is a beacon of hope for anyone facing cognitive decline. Julie's success is rooted in her meticulous daily routine, which she has fine-tuned over the years. Here's a glimpse into her day. Morning routine. Julie wakes up after 7 to 8 hours of sleep, skips breakfast, and enjoys a cup of organic coffee with just a touch of stevia. She practices oil pulling with coconut oil, uses non-toxic toiletries, and takes supplements like fish oil and curcumin before her daily 50 to 60-minute walk or run. Diet and fasting. She follows a 15 to 16-hour fast, breaking it with a nutrient-dense meal of pastured eggs, colorful vegetables, and healthy fats like extra virgin oil. Dinner includes wild-caught fish, enormous salads, and occasionally a small glass of dry red wine. Brain and body care. Julie incorporates yoga, meditation, brain training, and supplements like resveratrol and NAD into her day. She avoids blue light in the evening, uses essential oils for relaxation, and ensures her bedroom is completely dark and cool for optimal sleep. Julie's routine is extensive, but she emphasizes that it didn't start this way. She built it step by step, tailoring it to her needs. Her story shows that even those with the highest genetic risk can reclaim their cognitive health with the right approach. Kelly's story. Progress even without perfection. Kelly's story offers a different perspective. While she hasn't fully optimized her protocol, she has still seen significant improvements. Kelly, like Julie, experienced memory issues and difficulty navigating familiar places. Her routine includes, for sleep and exercise, Kelly gets 7 to 8 hours of sleep, takes melatonin and tryptophan, and exercises aerobically for 30 to 45 minutes daily. She also practices yoga 5 times a week and meditates twice daily. For diets and supplements, she follows a gluten-free, low-glycemic, mostly plant-based diet. She takes hormone replacement therapy, though not bioidentical, and supplements with fish oil, vitamin D3, curcumin, and probiotics. While Kelly's regimen is less comprehensive than Julie's, it has worked well for her. The key takeaway? Even partial adherence to the RECODE protocol can yield significant benefits. However, optimizing the program can lead to even better results. The power of social networking. ApoE4. Julie's journey didn't stop with her own recovery. She founded ApoE4.info, a social networking site for people with the ApoE4 gene. This platform has become a lifeline for its 800-plus members who share research, compare strategies, and support one another. Members conduct N=1 experiments, testing protocols on themselves and sharing the results. The collective wisdom of the group has created a powerful resource for those facing cognitive decline. This site's impact is profound. At in-person gatherings, members share stories of initial hopelessness and eventual improvement. One member, an academic scientist, expressed optimism about her future, knowing that others with similar genetics had succeeded on the protocol. This sense of community and shared purpose is transforming the narrative around Alzheimer's disease. The key takeaways here? This chapter underscores several important points. 1. Personalization is key. Both Julie and Kelly's routines are tailored to their unique needs, showing that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. 2. Start small. Julie's extensive routine didn't happen overnight. Begin with a few changes and build from there. 3. Social support matters. Platforms like ApoE4.info provide invaluable resources, encouragement, and hope for those at risk of cognitive decline. And 4. Some is better than none. Even partial adherence to the protocol can lead to significant improvements, as Kelly's story demonstrates. The chapter concludes with a powerful message. Cognitive decline is no longer an inevitable fate. With personalized protocols, collective wisdom, and a proactive approach, we can rewrite the story of Alzheimer's disease. Social networking in particular has the potential to scale these successes to millions worldwide, creating a future where dementia is no longer feared, but fought and won. Chapter 10, Putting It All Together, You Can Do It. This chapter is all about simplifying the RECODE protocol and empowering you to take control of your cognitive health. It distills the science, lab tests, and treatment strategies into actionable steps, making it easier to implement. The message is clear. No matter where you are in your journey, you can do this. Let's break it down. The 5 key drivers of cognitive decline. At its core, cognitive decline boils down to 5 main factors, all of which can be addressed effectively. 1. Insulin resistance. Poor glucose metabolism is a major contributor to brain dysfunction. 2. Inflammation and infections. Chronic inflammation damages neurons and synapses. 3. Hormone, nutrient, and trophic factor optimization. The brain needs the right balance of hormones and nutrients to thrive. 4. Toxins. Chemical, biological, and physical toxins wreak havoc on brain health. And 5. Synapse restoration and protection. Rebuilding and preserving synapses is critical for reversing cognitive decline. The RECODE protocol, a simplified plan. The RECODE protocol is a comprehensive, personalized approach, but it can be boiled down to just a few essential components. Diet. Follow the KetoFlex 12-3 diet. It promotes mild ketosis, ketone levels of 1.0 to 4.0 millimoles per liter. This involves fasting for 12 to 16 hours overnight, eating a low-carb, high-fat diet, and avoiding processed foods. Exercise. Engage in aerobic and strength training for 30 to 60 minutes, 5 to 6 times per week. If you have vascular issues, consider exercise with oxygen therapy. Sleep. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Address sleep apnea if you have it. Use melatonin or tryptophan if needed. Stress reduction. Practice meditation, yoga, or diaphragmatic breathing to lower chronic stress. Oral health. Optimize your oral microbiome with practices like oil pulling and treating infections. Brain training. Spend 30 minutes 3 to 4 times per week on cognitive exercises like those from Brain HQ. Supplements. Use targeted supplements like omega-3s, curcumin, magnesium threonate, and others to address specific deficiencies and support brain health. Detoxification. Identify and remove toxins, whether they're metals, mold, or other environmental factors. The protocol is flexible and can be tailored to your unique needs. You don't have to do everything at once. Start small and build over time. The keys to success. Lessons from real people. This chapter highlights several key strategies for success, illustrated with real-life examples. So this is a list of 10 items. Number 1, start early. The earlier you begin, the better your chances of reversing or preventing cognitive decline. Waiting until symptoms worsen only makes the process harder. For example, one woman delayed starting the protocol thinking she had time, but this is a mistake. Early intervention is critical. 2, stick with it. Consistency is key. Laura, a woman in her 70s, initially saw great results on RECODE, but regressed when she stopped following the protocol. Despite encouragement from her family and a health coach, she refused to make the necessary changes and continued to decline. This underscores the importance of the long-term commitment. 3, identify the root cause. Don't treat blindly. A thorough evaluation, like the cognoscopy described in Chapter 7, is essential to identify what's driving your cognitive decline. For example, Diane, who experienced memory loss after menopause, discovered her estradiol levels had dropped due to a change in hormone therapy. Once corrected, her memory improved. 4, keep optimizing. RECODE isn't a one-and-done solution. Regularly tweak your protocol based on lab results and cognitive testing. For instance, one patient with 24 metabolic abnormalities saw significant improvement after 10 months on RECODE, even though his lab values weren't yet optimal. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. 5, track your metrics. Use tools like Brain HQ or Lumosity to monitor your cognitive status. MRI volumetrics can also help track structural changes in the brain. If you're not seeing improvement, adjust your protocol or investigate additional contributors to decline. 6, don't be overwhelmed. You don't have to implement the entire protocol at once. Start with 1 or 2 changes, like improving sleep or adding exercise, and build from there. Within 3 to 6 months, aim to incorporate as many elements as possible. 7, leverage social networks. Groups like ABOE4.info provide invaluable support, resources, and encouragement. Sharing experiences and strategies with others can make the journey less daunting and more effective. 8, avoid sudden changes. If you need to stop a therapy, taper off slowly. For example, abruptly discontinuing hormone replacement therapy or Aricept can lead to rapid cognitive decline. 8, be patient. Cognitive improvement takes time. Even modest gains are a sign you're on the right track. Remember, stopping the progression of the decline is a victory in itself. And 10, stick with the program. Going off the protocol, even temporarily, can lead to rapid regression. One theory is that the brain's immune system remembers threats and reactivates amyloid production when the protocol is stopped. Staying consistent is crucial for long-term success. Real-life success stories. These are some inspiring examples of people who have benefited from RECODE. Patient 0. This individual followed 12 of 36 recommendations and saw dramatic improvements, proving that even partial adherence can be effective. An 82-year-old man, though in advanced stages of dementia, he became more engaged and less depressed after starting WeCode supplements. While he didn't regain full cognitive function, his quality of life improved significantly. Type 3 Alzheimer's patients. This subtype, caused by toxins, is the most challenging to treat. However, patients with high mercury levels have shown rapid improvement once the toxins were addressed. Certain groups tend to respond best to WeCode. People at risk, such as ApoE4 carriers who start before symptoms appear, those with subjective cognitive impairment, SCI, or early mild cognitive impairment, MCI. Individuals with early Alzheimer's disease, especially if they have minimal brain atrophy and are otherwise healthy, and younger patients under 75 and those with supportive spouses and physicians. On the flip side, WeCode is less effective for people who don't follow the protocol diligently. On the flip side, WeCode is less effective for people who don't follow the protocol diligently, start late in the disease process, or have severe type 3 Alzheimer's. Chapter ends with a candid confession. As a research neurologist, I never imagined I'd be recommending things like yoga, meditation, and nutrition. But the results speak for themselves. Years of research have shown that addressing basic processes like stress, diet, and toxicity can have profound effects on cognitive health. My hope is that this protocol will empower you to take control of your brain health and live a vibrant, fulfilling life. The chapter is a rallying cry. You can do this. Whether you're just starting out or fine-tuning your protocol, the WeCode program offers a clear path to cognitive health. Start early, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to ask for help. With the right tools and support, you can reclaim your brain and your future. Chapter 11. This is not easy. Workarounds and crutches. Let's face it, making big lifestyle changes is hard. Whether it's giving up your favorite foods, finding time to exercise, or managing stress, the WeCode protocol can feel overwhelming at first. But here's the good news. There are plenty of workarounds and crutches to help you stick with it. This chapter is all about addressing common challenges people face when adopting the protocol and offering practical solutions to make it easier. Let's dive in. Steve's story. Steve, a 73-year-old man, had been struggling with memory and attention issues for 7 years. Diagnosed with probable Alzheimer's, he was found to have leaky gut, gluten sensitivity, and autoantibodies attacking his brain tissue. When I explained that he needed to give up pizza, his reaction was, "You mean I have to give up pizza?" The answer was yes, at least for now. But the point is, these changes, while difficult, are necessary to address root causes of cognitive decline. And with the right strategies, they're entirely doable. Common challenges and workarounds. Here are some of the most common obstacles people face when following the WeCode protocol, along with practical solutions. 1. I don't want to give up ice cream. Try coconut milk ice cream, which is dairy-free and has a low glycemic index. I'll be miserable if I give up chocolate. Opt for organic dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. A square or two after dinner can satisfy your craving. I have sugar cravings. Sugar cravings are common, especially during the transition to a fat-based diet. Combat them with MCT oil, 1,000 milligrams or a teaspoon, or stevia as a safer sweetener. MCT oil and coconut oil are saturated fats. Can't I use something else? Use MCT oil initially to help achieve mild ketosis, then transition to healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil, nuts, and avocados. Does it matter how much water I drink? Yes, aim for about 2 liters filtered water daily, especially if you're dealing with toxins or biotoxicity. Herbal teas are also a great option. I don't have time to exercise. Incorporate exercise into your daily routine, like biking to work, running upstairs, or exercising at home while watching TV. Find what works for you, whether it's a class, a trainer, or a social activity. I can't reduce stress in my life. Stress reduction is critical. Try meditation, yoga, listening to music, or taking relaxing walks. Even small changes can make a difference. This is too complicated. Yes, the protocol has many components, but it's designed to address the complexity of cognitive decline. Start small and build gradually. As your health improves, you may find you need fewer interventions. Can't you just give me a pill? Pills alone won't solve the problem. They're like a patch for one hole in a leaky roof. The protocol addresses the root causes, so pills should be part of a broader, personalized program. I love junk food. Replace unhealthy favorites with healthier options. For example, swap soft drinks for kombucha or roasted vegetables for chicken nuggets. Over time, your palate will adapt and you'll discover new foods you love. I can't eat dinner until late at night. To make fasting easier, try eating a late lunch and an early evening snack instead of a full dinner. I don't like taking pills. Combine supplements into fewer pills or use alternatives like sachets for tea or yogurt. Over time, more convenient options will become available. I love meat. The KetoFlex 12-3 diet is plant-based but allows for small amounts of high-quality meat like grass-fed beef, pastured chicken, and wild-caught fish. Can I have alcohol? A single glass of wine a few nights a week is fine, but keep it minimal to avoid insulin spikes. What about smoking or vaping? Smoking is a clear risk factor for Alzheimer's. Avoid vaping until more is known about its effects on cognition. Can I eat soy? Yes, organic tofu and other soy-based foods are fine, especially if you're reducing meat consumption. Is coffee okay? Yes, coffee is associated with a reduced risk of Alzheimer's. Just don't overdo it, as too much caffeine can disrupt sleep and stress your adrenals. What about tea? Tea is a great way to incorporate herbs like turmeric and ashwagandha. Green and black teas are also fine. Will the diet cause B12 or iron deficiencies? No, the diet includes animal products for those who want them, and labs will guide supplementation if needed. Should I avoid aluminum pans? There's no strong evidence linking aluminum pans to Alzheimer's, but labs can check your aluminum levels if you're concerned. Should I eat only organic? Organic foods are preferable, especially for the dirty dozen produce items to avoid pesticide exposure. What if I crave something unhealthy? Address cravings with L-glutamine, MCT oil, water, or exercise. Resist cravings for processed foods and sugar as they're incompatible with our evolutionary biology. I'm too busy. Cognitive decline develops over decades, so early intervention is critical. Investing time now will save you years later. The strongest crutch? Joy. One of the most powerful tools for sticking with the protocol is finding joy in your life, whether it's hiking, dancing, spending time with family, or listening to music. Incorporating activities that bring you happiness can make the journey more enjoyable. Joy not only reduces stress, but also motivates you to stay on track. As your cognition improves, the joy of regaining your health and relationships becomes its own reward. Final thoughts on this chapter? The RECODE protocol is challenging, but it's also life-changing. With the right workarounds, support, and a focus on joy, you can overcome the obstacles and reclaim your cognitive health. Remember, every small step you take brings you closer to a healthier, happier future. Chapter 12, Resistance to Change. Machiavelli meets Feynman. Let me take you on a journey through one of the most challenging aspects of advancing science and medicine, resistance to change. This chapter is about the uphill battle of introducing a new system, especially when it challenges entrenched beliefs and practices. As Machiavelli wisely observed, those who benefit from the status quo will fight tooth and nail to preserve it, while those who stand to gain from change often hesitate to defend it. And as Feynman reminds us, reality, unlike public relations, cannot be fooled. The skepticism surrounding RECODE. I know many of you might still be skeptical about RECODE protocol and its potential to reverse cognitive decline. Trust me, I've faced skepticism at every turn. I recall a conversation with a brilliant physician diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. He was convinced there was no hope, dismissing every part of the protocol I explained. After much back and forth, I finally asked, "What do you have to lose?" Reluctantly, he agreed to try RECODE. 3 months later, his wife called to say he was much improved. And years later, he remains a believer, even recommending the protocol to his own patients. This is just one example of the resistance I've encountered. Neurologists have dismissed RECODE as a shotgun approach or claimed it's too complex for FDA approval. Others have refused to consider it simply because they hadn't heard of it before. Even when patients showed remarkable improvements, some experts chalked it up to coincidence or refused to believe the results. One neurologist, upon seeing a patient's hippocampal volume increase from below the 10th percentile to above the 80th, insisted the data must be wrong and tried to amend the report. The disbelief was palpable. Common objections and my responses. Let me address some of the most frequency objections I hear about WeCode. 1. Alzheimer's is untreatable. That's the point of this book. Cognitive decline is reversible, especially in its early stages. The key is to start as soon as possible. 2. I'll wait till I'm worse. Please don't. The later you start, the harder it is to reverse the damage. 3. None of the components sound like a cure. Alzheimer's is a complex disease with dozens of contributing factors. Although single intervention is a cure, addressing all relevant factors together has shown the greatest success. 4. Gluten is just a fad. Unfortunately, gluten can compromise the gut and blood-brain barriers, leading to inflammation and increasing the risk of cognitive decline, even in those without celiac disease. 5. My insurance won't cover the tests. While some tests may not be reimbursed, investing in your cognitive health is far less expensive than long-term care in a nursing home. 6. Why haven't I heard about this? WeCode is still relatively new, with the first paper published in 2014. Large-scale clinical trials are in progress, but the medical establishment is slow to adopt new approaches. 7. Does this work with other types of dementia? While WeCode was designed for Alzheimer's, many of the same mechanisms like insulin resistance and inflammation are involved in other neurodegenerative diseases. Research is ongoing. 8. My lab values are normal. Normal isn't always good enough. For reversing cognitive decline, lab values need to be optimized, not just within normal limits. 9. I already eat healthy. That's a great start, but diet is just one piece of the puzzle. The protocol is personalized to address all contributing factors. 10. I'm frustrated and angry. Why me? It's okay to feel this way, but cognitive decline doesn't happen without a reason. Identifying and addressing the underlying causes can help. 11. Supplements are unregulated and unreliable. While some supplements are subpar, reputable brands like Banyan, Gaia Herbs, and Metagenics are reliable. It's crucial to choose high-quality products. 12. I'm not getting better. Troubleshooting is key. Common issues include not fully following the protocol, undiagnosed conditions like sleep apnea, or needing to tweak the program further. Improvement takes time, typically 3 to 6 months. The bigger picture, overcoming resistance. Resistance to change isn't unique to Alzheimer's treatment. History is full of examples, like Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis, who discovered that hand washing in between doing autopsies in the morning and delivering babies in the afternoon could save lives. But he was ridiculed and ultimately institutionalized. Oddly enough, he died in an institution of an infection, which nobody knew how to treat. Similarly, the medical establishment's reliance on monotherapies, single pill solutions, has failed to address the complexity of chronic diseases like Alzheimer's. It's like trying to play chess with checkers strategies. To truly combat Alzheimer's, we need to embrace 21st century medicine. This means closing the complexity gap by gathering and analyzing data that reflect the intricate workings of the human body. Instead of vague diagnoses like mild cognitive impairment, we need precise, personalized assessments that identify the root causes of disease. For example, a future diagnosis might pinpoint specific contributors like insulin resistance, biotoxins, or immune system activation, with a tailored treatment plan to address them. A vision for the future. Imagine a world where we can detect and prevent chronic illnesses decades before symptoms appear, where diagnoses are precise, treatments are personalized, and cognitive decline is no longer a death sentence. This is the promise of 21st century medicine, and it's within our reach. But achieving this vision requires open minds and a willingness to challenge the status quo. It requires us to prioritize patient outcomes over profits, to value evidence over authority, and to work together to close the complexity gap. As I've said before, no one should die from Alzheimer's disease. With the right approach, we can make that a reality. So let's dream big. Let's set a deadline for ending Alzheimer's. Together we can create a world without the fear of dementia. A world where everyone knows an Alzheimer's survivor. The future is ours to shape. Let's get to work. There's a group that practices Dr. Dale Bredeson's WeCode protocol. It's called Apollo Health, and there are physicians located all over the country. So you have an interest in that, please look it up. And the ones I've looked at do accept traditional insurance policies, including Medicare. Of course, not all of his tests will be covered, but this book made quite an impression on me. There are people in my immediate family who have died of dementia, so this book resonated with me, especially the fact that it's not recognized by the medical community at large. Makes me crazy. The book is The End of Alzheimer's by Dr. Dale Bredesen. In the book, he goes into tremendous detail about the protocols, the test results, all of that, none of which I've covered here. This was pretty much a high-level overview of the book. So if you have any interest in it, if you know somebody who could use it, please pick it up. So I hope this has been helpful. That's where we'll leave it this week. Thanks for joining. That's a wrap.